Going to make a difference. Where does it start from?
It starts with us gathering together.
Absolutely.
A multiplicity of cultures or ethnicities gather together to talk about a problem called racism, which the people who have gathered here today see it not as a problem but as a challenge to use our collective resources to overcome. So I would say the process has already begun.
Through Maternal Heart, we can develop true partnership with men who are moving forward towards solving racism. Recently, WWP's founder, Dr. Haron set the motto, forgive, love, unite. Let us all try to apply that inspiring motto in our discussion tonight.
The definition of racism could widely differentiate between individuals based on environments and interpretation. So I just wanted to point that out at the beginning, so how things are viewed and how perspective changes things.
Well over 10,000 Japanese women came to this country, to America, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the end of World War II. While our two countries, Japan and the United States, were now allies, there still remained a gap, a distance in heart and trust between our two cultures. So in an effort to heal the pain of the past and to reach across the Pacific Divide in our hearts, each Women's Federation for World Peace USA woman member chose to offer herself as a sister to someone from the other side. This is the way the Bridge of Peace ceremony is.
Rodney was an African-American gentleman, young man, and Rodney had asked me to dance, and we danced, and my dad found out about it and was very mad at me about it, and I did not know why. I did not know what was wrong with Rodney, that I was in so much trouble for having danced with Rodney. And that was the point where I understood racism.
And so there has to be some coming together of that before we can look at what's happening in the country with the shootings and the hangings. I mean, there was a man hung 2 weeks ago. And so that has to, and when my 17-year-old says, Mom, I'm going to go over to the FireCon this Sunday, come with me, because we got to throw down, I know that we still got some challenges.
But we have become very disconnected from the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth is that we live in a country that is based upon the oppression of other folks in different forms. That's that our system, our capitalist system, is founded upon. That's what this country was founded upon.
Okay.
That's what we grew out of. And that's what we continue to struggle with.
The reason I can treat you this way is because you're something biologically different. And that's not true. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the real reason I think it's okay for me to make that argument. And then we have to really talk about values. If we're going to have private property, then everybody gets to have their private property protected. If we're going to pay for labor, then everybody gets their labor paid for fairly. We don't steal it, because that's what it is stealing.
We even struggle within our own cultural groups. There's colorism.
Okay. Yeah,
there's elitism.
Yeah.
There's, classism.
Right.
There's assimilation, that whole assimilationist, if I can act more like this one, then I'm going to be more accepted. Because of the stripping of the culture, the language, the complete abandonment of family. So you can't, that's what I'm saying, like there are no generic terms for some of these things. Racism, prejudice, bigotry, in my mind, are very different. Slavery, if you want to talk about slavery in Egypt versus slavery in the Ivory Coast versus slavery in Virginia,
it was different.
They were different.
And she asked me to cross the bridge of peace with her and to forgive her for what white people did to black people in America. And I said, are you kidding? Me? No, I'm not going to walk across the bridge and hug you. Are you kidding? And so it took 6 hours of my sitting with this young lady thought it was a one incident. But what it has happened is it's become a part of the fabric. So now people have accepted it and they don't question it. You don't question why you have so many more, proportionately more African Americans incarcerated. Do you? Well, yeah. Do you? Oh, I mean, it's so easy because, you know, you can demonize these people and you can say, oh my goodness, you know, they're gangbangers, they wear their pants down, they don't behave, you know, by the time they're in second, third grade, they're in special education, despite the fact that many of them test at the gifted and talented level. You don't think about that because they're so bad and they're so scary.
Well, I don't think that they're bad and scary. I grew up with 9 brothers. But so that's for me,
right? So
for me, it's more like I do feel like they had it much harder than I did as a young woman, and I feel like maybe it was a little bit because of racism, but at the end of the day, they turned around and made some choices that weren't the best choices for their lives. And I chose to do something different because I saw the world this big and they saw the world as our neighborhood. I have to lead them out of the circles. And those that way of thinking.
The self-imposed limitations.
The self-imposed limitations, but when you force them out of it, they realize that they've been limiting themselves the whole time.
Beautiful sisters.
Make sure that you don't fall into an exceptionalism mindset where you're different and you're special. Because we're all the same. There's nothing different or special about anybody other than the fact that some of us have been given and were extended privileges and opportunities that others have not. Some of us who live in public housing may only see the world in terms of that particular public housing development. And that's because that's what happens to poor people. That's what happens a lot of times. And there may be 1 or 2 that are going to get out. But most people are going to stay there. Because that's what they're comfortable with, that's what they know, that's their exposure level. That doesn't mean that they couldn't become an engineer or a rocket scientist or a judge or lawyer or whatever it is that's supposed to be the end thing to be these days.
Crossing the bridge and
The same thing is true in the African American community. We try to assimilate more than any other group of color. We as soon as we make $5, we want to move out the neighborhood. We don't. We have assimilationist tendencies. So you got to admit that your ancestors had a part of it. And you got to take responsibility to fix it. And for black people, we got to learn how to forgive. We got to learn how to forgive. We have got to learn how to start forgiving so that we can begin to receive the prosperity that's out here for us. But until we get over this racism, we're going to be stuck in the stones. And the only way we're going to fix fix this is to realize that we're all sisters and brothers. We're all sisters and brothers, and that we're one family under God. So that's how I feel. Every day.
We just got to convince more people that we are in process.
In process.
And these old paradigms such as racism, colorism, gender bias,
Sexism.
tall people being biased against short people, rich people against middle class or lower class, educated, Christian versus non-Christian. These hierarchies are going to be discounted.
Okay.
The faster we discount them, the more we create a new leadership.
That's right.
That can give our children and their children's children a world in which they can fulfill all their human possibilities.
Wow. So they have to become global citizens, but they have to understand from the individual level all the way up to the global level how they need to make an impact to change the world. Because if